Okay. Are we recording?
We are.
Okay. Looks like we have about 12 people. People are still popping in, which is great. 14 people now. Awesome. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody here today. I want to thank the panel for being here and all of their hard work they've done over the last 2 to 3 weeks on scoring all of your amazing applications. So we have 20 applications to go through today, and each individual panelist will take turns being the lead reader, which just means they'll introduce the application, and then once they go through it, if anybody has any other comments that they want to add to that specific application, that would be great. It's really important that our applicants are able to hear your thoughts and how you scored it according to the rubric. So we encourage you to stay as long as you can. Not the panelists, you must stay. It often helps to listen to several application reviews to understand how panelists are looking at applications and to hear their comments. We are asking all attendees to remain on mute. There is no public comment portion of these review meetings, and panelists are basing their reviews solely by what they see in the application. If for whatever reason your application is being reviewed and you hear a misstatement about something that was written in the application, such as a number that was misstated but clearly correct in the application, you may then put a note in the chat and we will bring it to the attention of the panel. So if for some reason you hear something incorrect, please go to the chat in this meeting and we'll be monitoring the chat to see if we said something that was incorrect. So also you'll notice that we are going through these applications pretty quickly today, but please know that the panelists have spent the last 3 weeks reviewing each application thoroughly. These do take a lot of time, so I just really want everyone to please thank the panelists for being here. They do it out of the goodness of their heart. So I appreciate you guys so much. So we'll go through each application in the order assigned. We'll look at the treatment and then ask the lead reader to introduce the artist or group. Then panelists may weigh in on the discussion and then finalize their scores. All right, so we are going to get started. And up first is Lori with number 2.
Okay. So the name of this project, they were applying for the $10,000 production grant. It's a short film called Mr. TV Man. It was really interesting. I mean, I gotta say, this was written with a very specific direction in mind, and that was interesting to see. It was disturbing on many levels, but I do think that was the point. I felt like it was a reasonable budget and an interesting concept, and I felt like between pacing and casting, you can either make or break this. So good luck with that. Anybody else have any comments about this one?
I'll say the way the application was completed gave me a good sense of confidence that the actual project would be completed. So that was a positive.
Yeah, I agree.
Does anyone have any other comments on this one? Okay, moving on to number 3, Houghton.
Number 3, the TV pilot. The title of the project is You Had a Bad Day. They applied for the $10,000 production grant. So the project is a coming-of-age drama comedy that is hilariously relatable about a determined young professional who's determined to make it big, battling their own internal demons and those whose biggest demise is themselves. I really liked it because it was a local filmmaker telling a story that was based on real-life events, and also it was an attempt to keep the momentum going from a successful short film project. So I like the continuation of that. In terms of improvements for the application, I felt like by providing a more succinct and concise pitch deck, that would have been more helpful for the application. It was kind of tricky to navigate and to find the information needed to score it appropriately. I also would have liked to have seen a little bit more evidence about how they plan to use local hires, locations, as well as local cast and crew, and sort of the diversity of that. But overall, I thought it was a solid submission, and then I scored it accordingly. Anybody else have comments?
I would agree with what you said, and also with how I like this continuation. I would also agree. Like some of the materials felt like they repeated themselves a little bit. It'd be nice if like they sort of lived on their own as like a shooting schedule, a budget, that type of thing. So, but that other than that, it seemed like a good project with a good team that's involved, and I like that they also laid out that they're going to be trying to do a lot of press interviews to help raise some awareness about the project.
Yeah, I agree. I found that same thing. The pitch deck was, almost too much, and but the information there was all valid. You just needed to search it out. But generally, the funny concept and a clever group of hardworking people that I know will get this completed, which I think that's one of the most positive things that we can say is having that confidence.
Great. Okay, we are moving on to number 4 with Donna.
Right. So this is Yes to More Life. It is a documentary, and they applied for the production grants. This project is about providing a training program during the recording of a documentary for both film production and acting. Then after completing their classes, students would demonstrate what they learned during a mock production for an actual shoot as a test to receive a certificate of completion for the program. And then this program was approved by the State Department of Rehabilitation and is coupled with SDR World Relieve Foundation Skills Training Program. And so what I liked about this is that it really emphasized a focus on inclusion, especially of at-risk youth, homeless and disabled individuals, which is like a rarity I feel like to kind of see, which is really nice. And that also kind of is inclusive because it allows people from a dynamic backgrounds to be involved in this project, which is really nice. I also appreciated that they listed out a step-by-step process of what their program would be teaching and how it's implemented. I think that's a super noble goal, and it's a unique one because I haven't heard of something like that being done before. I think the areas of opportunity for this would be meeting some of the criteria. I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record here for some of these applications with the meeting of criteria. But if something doesn't meet a criteria, us as judges aren't allowed to vote over a certain number specifically associated with how much of the criteria that you're a part of. So like, for instance, if any project has less than like 10 paid positions, the highest we can really allocate to you is like a score of 1 for that category. So I would say some of that would be some of the areas of opportunity that not only this project can do, but like future projects can do in the future. Stuff like that, and like how they didn't have any vendors listed on the vendor document, like that's automatically a lower score, unfortunately. And then my overall thoughts, like I think that this is a very inspiring story, a very noble cause. It has, unbridled passion for inclusivity and hopes for the future, which is what I think that we need more in our community.
Anyone else have thoughts on this one?
I double down on that. I think incredible project. The teaching element of it, really fantastic. But yes, the application lacked in certain parts where I think are really easy to improve and to make the changes. I wasn't able to access the budget documents. I would have liked to have been able to see more of how that would have been spent. I mean, even if the vendors are still being negotiated, one could indicate maybe some potential vendors that to be used. So those are easy fixes.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think just to, if any applicants are listening, I just want to reiterate that, take this feedback. If you have additional feedback, email me. We can go through it together. I can give you helpful hints. Our point here is to help you make the best application possible. So always reach out for additional help. Okay, number 5. Nope, not number 5. Number 6 is Nathan.
Okay, this hopefully I do this right. So this is going to be for a short film. This is the title of the short film is going to be You Never Asked. They applied for a production grant, $10,000 production grant. This project is seems like a passion project of the filmmaker, and it's about dealing with the loss of a grandfather in the Chinese American community here in the United States. It seems like a really good passion project. What I really kind of I really enjoyed the professionalism of the overall materials that the filmmaker provided for us. I thought that the budget was really clear. The vendor list was clear. The schedule was pretty clear, although maybe that could be pushed up a little bit. But really, whatever question I might have had about this particular application, they seem to lay out really, really well. So I overall thought this was a good application.
Yeah, I love those visuals. It's
Yeah,
nice to
it does
see.
help.
It's nice to see a treatment that it feels like they spent a lot of time in working on the pitch deck. So.
Yep.
Not that I can score. I don't get to score. I'm just making a comment.
Yeah.
It all kind of
I agree. I agree with you. I thought that was an interesting concept, the whole fantasy versus reality. And they have a great local crew. So, that gives me confidence that this is a project that can be completed too.
I'd also like to note for other filmmakers here, something that I think that this project did well was list their in-kind donations, meaning that if you're working on the project, and you're donating your time to the project, you can allocate that to your budget. So, they had, a decent amount of budget in kind that also probably helped with the score of this. So note for other filmmakers.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, let's move on to number 7, and Lori, you're up.
Okay. Let's see. This is a project that is a documentary. They're applying for the $10,000 production grant. And it is called No Home Here. The concept and what they've already demonstrated in their clips for this project that gives a different perspective, a different look at the homeless community and our environment and what we can do to help them or what they need help with. I think that when you go in and show the individuals that up close and personal, I think that that's something that will have a lot of impact. The production cost to me seemed a little high. I'm sure that there's things that can either be trimmed or cut down, but I'm just not sure how that, relates, especially with the doc. And then I would really like to see on all of our applications, and it should be a part of what you implement in your budget, is a distribution strategy. Something that is a marketing and distribution idea for where your film is going to go. Anybody else?
Sorry, I think my internet is unstable. Everybody froze for me, and I figured it's got to be me.
Oh, could you hear me?
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they
I got most
did a
of it.
really great job too at listing out where they were getting their funding sources from. And I love the documents they provided as far as the proof of their experience. For this, they had like almost like a trailer for their films, which was really cool to kind of see the concept of what they were already kind of making. And I think that really helped out with the score for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd agree with you. Like it was really good to I got a really good feel for what it was based on the video that they were able to provide for us with the links that they provided. So
Yeah.
that gave me a much better idea of what we were looking at. And yeah, no, the obviously, you know, when you're working with documentaries, it's good to be able to find things that connect with grants and other funding around. And it was good to see where their other money was coming from both, you know, other grants and then also some crowdfunding that had happened. So.
No, absolutely. I mean, I would also like to note that like a trailer isn't necessarily something that's required for your application, but it's just something that spices up, you know, your application for us as judges to physically see what you're trying to do with your project. So even though it's not a requirement, it's a great practice to do.
Yep.
Well, and I think too that the post-production grants should have that opportunity, hopefully, if they have just any little thing, you know, from production that they've already done.
Yeah.
It just is always nice to be included. Not absolutely not required, just telling you what we see.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, let's move on to number 8 and Houghton.
Number 8, this is a documentary or a docu-series. The title of the project is Spin, Scratch, Mix, Repeat, the history of Sacramento DJs. They applied for the production grant. The project is about celebrating the turntablists who live in or have a connection to Sacramento County. I really enjoyed this application because it was an insightful look at an important part of Sacramento's music scene and history. Oftentimes DJs, you know, fade into the background. So it was really like putting them front and center. I was also drawn to the fact that it's designed to be an intergenerational oral history project, bringing together youth and elders to tell their story. So I really like that mix. I felt the application could have been improved by including a more detailed location and vendor list. Once again, like I said earlier, even if they haven't been confirmed yet, it's just good to get an idea of how you're thinking about these things. And I really feel like, especially with the way that this project is designed, it would have been, I guess, in a way, visually stronger to get a sense of what venues and locations within Sacramento would ground this project. But I thought it was an intriguing submission, and I felt really confident that it could come to fruition.
I'd agree where I think it's a really good concept and like kind of a subset of Sacramento that we haven't seen a lot of media from. And again, like we were talking about, like I think the application itself would have been nice to see some visuals and maybe some clips of some of what the production team had done to help sort of give us a visual of what they are able to produce.
Yeah, I agree.
I also like to note they utilize Studio Binder, which is a great source for filmmakers to utilize when they're trying to do pre-production documents. So that's also good. And yeah, like I think that this is definitely like a compelling story that is Sacramento centric specifically and focused about Sacramento from Sacramento people. And so that was something that I really appreciated about this project.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to number 9, and that is Diodonis.
All right. So this is The Living Ice of Greenland, and it is a documentary, and they applied for the post-production grants. The Living Ice of Greenland is a feature-length documentary film that delves into the melting of Greenland's ice sheet and scientists involved with studying it. The majority of the film was shot in Greenland, Germany, and Denmark, and they have already wrapped on production and are now going into post-production. This project has also already received a grant from Sacramento State University to hire 2 Sacramento State students to assist with post-production. And they plan to release the film in spring of 2025. I really appreciated the organization of this project. And also because it is done by a local filmmaker with a wide personal interest in Sacramento, who has decided to bring on future filmmakers into their project, which helps cultivate and nourish the local film community and the next generation of filmmakers. And this filmmaker has proven that they have a track record of completing projects and has provided an extensive background of both experience in filmmaking and through production documents detailing every single stage of production, which I appreciate. And I feel like that should be a requirement for post-production grants, but they did that anyway. Also, even though typically on low budget productions, as filmmakers, we kind of focus on crossing the finish line. And this filmmaker found a way to be inclusive in post-production by including LGBTQ plus and female representation in the post-production process, which like I appreciate that so much because that type of decision is specifically a choice that someone has to cognitively make. And it is appreciated. And I feel like even if this wasn't a requirement of the grant, that this person still would have gone out of their way to do that. I believe the areas of opportunity for moving forward is once again like some of the criteria with the post-production grant matches the same criteria of the production grant, meaning that like scores to productions with 5 nights of hotel room stays and 20 paid positions, and over 10 support companies. Those ones typically get the higher grades as far as that criteria goes. And like sometimes that's a little bit difficult to do for post-production. So I would say, keep that in mind for applying for future post-production grants, that this factors in to the score that we're allowed to give you as judges. But overall, like I think that this is a prime example of organization, showcasing professionalism and the importance of detailed documents done by a proven filmmaker who wants to be inclusive and invest in Sacramento's future.
Have any other comments?
No, I think he said it all. And the fact that they've gotten 465,000 funded out of 495 budget, I think that says a lot to where they are right now and how they got there.
I like the entire deck, and also I know that sometimes I mean that was a big number for a budget, but realistically that is a realistic budget of a documentary of this size, and it would be nice. I'd almost wish like some other local filmmakers would get a chance to kind of see a part of this deck to see what they put into it. It's not wasted money, like it's justifiable what money went into this project, and then just to also follow up that the schedule they set out for post-production was very clear, and so there's some benchmarks as to where they're doing things, and so I nothing but positive to say about the materials they provided.
And a note to add to that, this was applied for the post-production grant, but they sent a schedule for pre-production, production, and post-production.
Yeah.
So
which isn't required, but yeah,
no,
it's nice to see.
Definitely not required, but it definitely makes your application stand out for other filmmakers out there trying to find ways to spice up their applications.
Mm-hmm.
Just good materials. It would be nice if other filmmakers could see what they're doing. So,
well, with permission, I'd be happy to share. If anybody out there wants to get in touch with me about that. Okay, moving on to number 10.
Oh, Nathan? That is me again. All right. So let me pull this up really fast, make sure I'm okay. So number 10 is a production documentary project called Unhoused Neighbors. This is a documentary, a year-long exploration of the lives of Sacramento unhoused population. unveiling their unique and diverse stories. This feature-length documentary project entered its post-production phase as of March 2024. This project is dealing with a number of specific cases, and I kind of liked how they sort of broke things out over the seasons, like let me pull this up really fast because I had this. Where's my treatment? I found like so they start in the spring. So going from spring to summer, fall, winter as sort of like a structure for what the stories they're going to be telling, I thought was a really good framework for telling these stories, and I liked the letting us know what each of the subjects of this documentary are going to be. Other than that, places for possible improvement. I think it could be organized a little bit more clearly at times, but other than that, I like that they had a lot of their crew in place, and they had some ability to show how their some of the work that their crew had done previously. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about this one.
Anyone else?
I thought it was a really diverse cast and diverse look at this particular population. I scored that really highly. Would have liked to have seen some more on the sort of local hires section of the application.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that the quality was great. I want to see them get it finished and get it out on the big screen. I think that that's a message of a different type. And the one thing that I think we need to be conscious of is there are so many pieces of content that is geared towards unhoused, living, lifestyles, whatever. So doing something to make yours stand out is really important. So I think that they've got a different category that they're tapping, and that's a good thing.
I think it comes down to like telling personal stories. Like it's really getting to know those individual characters that they have, individual subjects that they have in the project. So,
yeah.
Okay. Move on to number 11, Lori.
Okay. Let's see. That is a short film called Memoria. They are applying for the $10,000 production grant. And let me look. I liked the concept. I think it's a good young adult kind of oriented story. I always want to see in the deck the people that are actually in the movie, so that gets a little confusing for me, but they have a great crew, but I felt like their rates that they had indicated in their budget were rather low. I'm wondering if they were just underestimating their costs. But in general, they'll figure that out, I guess, if that's the case. In general, I thought that it was a good story and a good potential.
Well, just a note for these filmmakers. I know some of them, but they did just recently shoot a short film with all of these people recently, so they've done it before. So I'm assuming that those rates are just discounted.
Oh, okay. Did anybody else make that same note in looking at the budget?
yeah.
So there is a note here in the chat that does say the main character actors are in the deck. So I'm not sure if I'm trying to pull mine up.
I think they're in the deck, but then there's other pages think it looks like the intro page. It's not, it's somebody different.
So they're on page 6 and 7 of the deck. They have the pictures on them. It's Naomi and Joy.
Okay.
I'd agree with Lori. I actually did kind of enjoy that they were able to put together like some images that gave some visual representation of what the film might be. Um, uh, it was a little confusing as to like where, some things were sort of mood boardish, some things were more like this is one of our actors. Some clarity and maybe some editing in those things might help the deck a little bit. That would be my advice there.
What I liked about this application, I felt like there's a good balance between like hotel nights, local hires, support services, and then locations. I think what I've noticed over the times, like sometimes that can be quite challenging to balance that. And I thought this application was very, very strong in that regard.
We have one more note from the filmmaker saying there's also proof of concept that we produced that was linked in the submission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys all saw that though. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Moving on to number 12. Houghton.
Number 12, this is a feature film. The working title is The Craftsman of James County. They applied for a production grant. The project is about the story of Maurice Yerby returning home to his Northern California home for the first time in decades following the death of his father. And it blends African-American experience and ancient Greek literature to tell a funny, riveting, socially relevant story with a distinctly Northern California artistic style. I really like that line. I think this project, I was drawn to the fact that it's evidently rooted in Northern California, and that it explores the overlaps, intersections between a multitude of cultures. It was also a very thorough and complete application, which goes a long way. Opportunities for improvement would have been stronger if there's more evidence, kind of through all the different documents that I would have a high chance of completion. But I thought it was a really strong submission.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I almost wish that we could share some of these with some of the applicants so they could kind of see examples of other people's application. But no, these this filmmaker also in their experience, it looked like they submitted that they also finished a feature film before. So that kind of helped with my judgment. They already had like the majority of the funds already met. They had some name talents attached to the project as well. So I think that definitely helped. But yeah, no, I think overall those are some things that I utilize when scoring for this.
Yeah, I felt quality writing and quality casting choices were made, definitely.
Hold on. Oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong application.
So unfortunately, not everybody can access this submittable on the end that we see everybody's application, right? So I might in the future try and figure out, obviously after getting permission, to see if I can somehow figure out a way so that these, like the winning grantees applications would be available for people to look at. I think that you guys are suggesting that might be helpful. And it's true because we do have some that are really, really great and that I always point to when people are asking questions and that sort of thing. So I'll look into doing that for the round in the fall, or before the round in the fall, before they apply. So thank you for that suggestion.
I mean, you could always redact if you needed to do something like that, but
it's just that in submittable, there's so many different pieces, like, you have to open the budget, then you open the, it would just be about compiling all of the different data that's in there.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to number 13 and Diadamus.
All right. So this one is called Overcoming the Silence of Voice. And it is a documentary, and it is for the production grant. Overcoming the Silencing of Voice is a documentary led by the Sacramento. Please excuse me, I do not speak Spanish, so I am sure I will butcher this. The Sacramento Poderosa Project, which is a community-oriented and woman-powered organization whose goal is to bring awareness to historically marginalized Chicana, Latina Poderosas, which are powerful and influential women. The documentary will record a film based on the oral history interviews of 9 women featured on the Poderosa mural that were already recorded in 2023. And this project already has received grants from Gente Chicana, the Smudge Shire Program, California Humanities, and the Sacramento Arts and Culture IOB Match Grant Program. They also believe in changing the community through positive activism. Their inner team is also staffed with like teachers and educators from minority backgrounds. They have a history of creating films and art with media coverage. So they're doing a lot, which is great. I like this project because it gave me a thorough and in-depth understanding of why they're doing what they're doing, what motivates them, and what they're doing as an organization beyond just this project. And it oozes of just passion and a testament to what can be accomplished by people from underserved backgrounds when banding together to get a message out there. I also liked this because it ultimately as filmmakers, I think we all kind of wish that our art would be something that can inspire and transform an audience. And this project really just kind of encapsulates the essence of the artistic spirit. This is what it kind of means to empower and take charge of our history and have a voice. Because if we don't tell our own stories, someone will tell them for us. And I think the areas of opportunity we're allocating funds to hotel stays and like support service companies and locations and internships. I think that's kind of a challenge sometimes with documentaries, especially on the post-production end, because it's like, well, okay, well, if you're doing your post-production work here in Sacramento, then you might not need to have hotel stays here in Sacramento. And then the overall, I love the message that they're sending out there with this project. And I think it's a great combination of just storytelling, artistic expressionism, and I feel like it's a story worth something that needs to be told.
I think that I'll make one comment here, just that as part of the application process, there was some confusion in early rounds, like 3 years ago, when it looked like we were comparing apples and oranges. And so because you've got your production numbers and you've got your post-production numbers. So in order to eliminate that, I only include your post-production numbers in your application. So while it's nice to see the production information, we're not scoring on production. We're only scoring on, are you bringing, do you have a local editor? It literally is just so that the post-production grants were more aligned. So it was intentional that we did it that way. And of course, you're going to have probably a lot less economic impact in post-production, but that's going to be standard across most of the applications. So it's to be expected, I guess I should say. I just want to point that out. Anyway, does anybody have any other questions or comments about this one? All right, moving on to number 14 and Nathan.
That is me again. Okay. The number 14 is hold on one sec. Sorry, pulling this in. Number 14 is a project called Rest, which is a short film by a local filmmaker. Rest is about a character who has depression and studies how they work through society in the given situation with the zombies taking over the streets. This is seemed like a fun project. Actually, all the materials are really good. I think this is probably one of those cases. It's a strong crew. Everything seems pretty clear in their materials. The only real thing is this project is something that's sort of a passion project. I think of the filmmaker who is a part of this, and what Diodonis was talking about earlier, where we have a project where it just doesn't line up with like some of the things we score on, and so I think it ends up getting a lower score because it's not requesting rooms or doesn't have interns, those type of things. But other than that, I think the project's quite strong, and I have a really high confidence in the ability for the team to finish up what they have. The only other thing is the list of like the work that the filmmaker had done is quite extensive, and there is a link to their website where we can look at a little more of their work. But it would have been nice to work some of that into the deck too, to be able to see some of that visual in the actual deck. But the project itself seems fairly solid to me.
Yeah.
And I think I'll reiterate for applicants too that the economic impact is literally only 20% of your overall score. So, it doesn't punish local filmmakers who have local crew or that sort of thing. It literally is 20%. So.
And I kind of appreciate the honesty of the application. Like it didn't feel like they were making excuses to sort of check a box. Like they really were. This is the project they're going to make, and it just didn't check boxes at times. So.
One comment I had on this application would have been nice to learn a little bit more about the main character, some sort of demographic information, a little bit more about the background, just think about the subject matter and how that's telling diverse stories.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's something else I probably want to note to other applicants as well. On your treatments, by having like visual elements, it helps us all as visual learners to be able to see the image that you're trying to put out there, or the story that you're trying to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's not very often when you see a film that combines horror, comedy, and pathos. So I felt like this was one I wanted to see completed. It had definitely some good meat to it. Not quite sure how long that would be. I can't remember how many pages was the script, but
they didn't provide the script.
Oh, they didn't provide the script. Okay.
No, but I mean, it's a short film.
Yeah, very short. Yeah.
I think I also just appreciated how many local hires there were for this. I think they were on the higher end of the applicants.
Yeah.
Right. We're getting through it. Let's see. We are now on number 16.
15.
And no, 15 was declined. 16 is Lori.
Oh, me. Okay.
And
say that again. You're breaking up.
Oh, sorry. I think my internet's unstable again. I'm gonna turn my camera off. I just wanted to say, and by decline, I just mean they didn't meet the threshold for the eligibility requirements, the initial. Okay. But now we're moving on to number 16.
So number 16, which is a music video. Different project for us on this one, called They Story. An all-trans band, Future Flowers, is basically what we're seeing in this movie, and the process that they're going about telling their story in this music video sounds like something that would be accepted really well. I think that it's one of those things that can not only inform, but it can educate too. It's very well supported by the LGBTQ community, and the splashy, colorful and fun theme, I think, is going to just carry it all the way through. I felt confident that they would not only get it done, but I think what's most important for some of the content that's being created is that we can actually see evidence of it being put out to the community, not just put into a film festival, but literally shared in many, many different ways. And I got the impression that this group would definitely be able to carry it all the way, carry the ball to the end. You know what I mean? Anybody else?
Yeah, I wish that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I wish that once again, like this is a deck that I wish that we could share with people so people can kind of get an idea of like what something like this put together deck kind of looks like. That gives like all these visual cues, and I think I really appreciated that even though that this is a music video, they literally break down what is going to be on screen for like every single verse, the first verse, the second verse, for the first chorus, the second chorus, which just really helps solidify that they were prepared to go into doing this, which I really appreciated. So yeah, no, I just wish that we could share stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Diana, can you pull the treatment back up again and kind of like slowly scroll through? We'll put this what talking about first. Do you have the
Catch that, Diana?
Yes, I prepped for the next one, so let me get back to 16.
Okay.
So yeah, so anyway, continuing on with this project, obviously inclusivity of this is like amazing. I think pretty much all of the head department people and maybe even the whole entire project are people from LGBTQ plus background, which was really just amazing to see, and a testament to what you can do if you band together as a group. So yeah.
And I want to also reiterate that when you're submitting a grant application anywhere, it's kind of like if you're submitting a job application, and every grant can be customized and should be customized based on who you're submitting it to and what you're submitting it for. So that's something that I think makes the reviewers recognize that you're really looking at the guidelines of the grant that we're offering.
I also think, like, once again, the balance across the board of all the criteria that needed to be met, this application for me scored really well. I mean, looking at like the location information that's on the screen, I mean, that really aligns with what was presented in the overview document. I mean, the representation, the local hires, the hotel nights. Yes, I think just the whole package gives one, as a reviewer, complete confidence that it will get to the finish line in a way that's really meaningful and well done.
Thank you for putting that up, Diana. Any other comments?
The only thing I'll add is there seemed to be a little bit of a discrepancy between like it says that there's going to be an estimated local hires of 40, but then in the crew list, there's only like 19 or 20 or something. And so some clarity and materials across the board might be good too.
Okay. All right, number 17, Houghton, you want to take it away?
This is a TV series. The title is The County Edition. They applied for a production grant. So the project is a TV show that will communicate complex issues that face Sacramento County in an informative and educational way while engaging Sacramento County businesses, officials, and spokespeople in an open dialogue. One of the aspects that I really enjoyed about this application was really how detailed it was about tackling the issue of water resources to begin the project. It's a really pressing issue here in the Sacramento Valley and the wider state of California, so it's very timely and very relevant. I mean, once again, it was a very thorough application, very well done in a variety of different ways, so I didn't have a lot to suggest in terms of improvement. It was just a really well thought out submission, and I scored it accordingly.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Agree with that. I trying to see if I have any notes that are different than yours, but pretty much I just felt like that was a content. I know that they can create something great, and the content of it is really going to be serving to the community. So I think that will help them to attract viewers and to gain members and make new friends of Access Sacramento. So nothing but good.
I think a good lesson from this application for future applicants is that I know we keep mentioning like the criteria, meet this many hotel stays, this many local hires. I think I want to note specifically for this application, one of the criteria they were like, they didn't focus on, but they boosted and focus on everything else. So I would say, pick your battles. Like if you're like missing one or two of the criteria should be okay if you're doing great in everything else, but it's when you stack up all those misses of criteria that it starts to hurt your score. So I think they picked their battles wisely in this.
Yeah, good point.
Also, just generally speaking, Access Sacramento is a good resource for all local filmmakers. Be involved in Access if you guys can.
All right. Let's move on to number 18 and the Adonis.
All right. I keep getting all the Spanish ones, guys, so I apologize in advance. But yeah, this one is called Bien Juanitos. Juanitos. If anyone speaks Spanish, please chime in. Yes, Bien Juanitos. And it is a documentary, and they applied to the post-production grants. Bien Juanitos is a short documentary film that focuses on a group of Spanish-speaking elders in a group called Manitos y Manitas, which has been active in Sacramento for 25 years. The story deals with asking the question about the final stages of life, known as the third stage of life, and how the traditional holiday of Day of the Dead influences the community. A very interesting development of the story is that during recording, the documentary's photographer ended up losing their grandmother and was incorporated into the story herself. This film then became, a story of acceptance, grief, and celebration of life itself. The project is about 87% funded and was funded by the Creative Core grants, and it is wrapped production. What I liked about this project, first of all, the footage from the trailer that they supplied was absolutely like stunning. It gave a very clear idea of what they're putting together, which I think is a good idea for anyone applying for a post-production grant for sure. I also enjoyed that it's an impactful and engaging story, and that it finds a way to encapsulate both a documentary and a personal story within its narrative. I really appreciated that in their treatments, they showed the amount of research in their studies by providing demographics section that stated like roughly 10 different statistics of the population personally affected by this project, which once again isn't a requirement, but shows how much this project would be affecting the community, which I think really helps with its score. So this project definitely felt like a labor of love, and it felt so much so, even though I have very cynical filmmaker bones, so it made me smile. I think something else that they did smart in their submission was in their crew list. They kind of listed the crew members that also came from marginalized backgrounds, which I know that you can't ask for, but it helps us judges be able to identify how impactful of a marginalized crew that you're actually bringing to the table for this project. And I think the areas of opportunity for this project, I would say, were marking down the service companies. This project kind of listed that pretty low. Same thing with a couple of criteria. But like if you allocate a budget to lunches for your crew or a rental of your film equipment or like anything that's post-production services from a production company, like anything that requires you to make a purchase that isn't volunteered by yourself, there's a company that's attached to that. And if they're local to Sacramento, then the board wants to know that, and that helps with your score. So I can't like stress enough. I feel like a broken record player at this point, but like the rubric of how we judge people, like I did the math. Like if you submit a project with no hotel nights, like less than 10 hires, less than 5 support companies, less than 5 locations, and less than 2 internships, like the highest score that you can get is a 75%. Like you lose 25% of your score before like you even start. So that is like, I can't emphasize that enough. But overall, I believe that this project will tell a very compelling story, an impactful story. I'm taken aback by the gorgeous imagery of the trailer, and yeah, whatever turns out, I can't wait to see how this project turns out.
I agree. I felt like the topic was timely and relatable, and something that would appeal to all ages also.
All right. Thank you for all those great comments. We just have a few more to get through. We're going to move on to number 19 and Nathan.
All right. So I have project number 19. This is a documentary project, and hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly. Noah Sana, The Art of Community. I actually thought this was a really cool concept. So Noah Sana, The Art of Community is a documentary about Sacramento teen who is changing lives in her community through her art. The documentary will take viewers on a journey with the teen writer to experience the highlights of and lows of being a Gen Z trailblazer and how arts plays a significant role in helping others express who they are and help them give a voice. So the documentary will basically follow Noah as she works with artists in Sacramento County to spread awareness about issues of social justice, racial equality, community, family, mental health, and we'll include interviews from Noah as well as community members, family, friends who've worked closely with her. And I think also in the deck somewhere it mentioned that they have some archival footage they can pull from also. But, I think this is one of our more youth-centric grantees. This person has pushed very hard to get their art to the forefront at a young age. And I think it's a cool story to tell. And so I really appreciated that side of this application. And that's probably where a lot of the strength of this application comes in. There are some things that I'm a little this is a little bit more of a novice team, like on their crew side. The crew is fairly minimal. They're dealing with a team that they have surrounded with the artist currently. And there are some things in the budgets, for instance, we talk about some freelancers that are going to be hired on, and they're implying that they're going to be working for $50 a day, $100 per day. If they are a true freelancer, somebody that freelances in production, it would be very hard to find someone that works for that price. If it is somebody that is working in kind in some way, then that's a possibility, and that might be what they have lined up. And so I would encourage it though. I mean, like I think it's a good story to tell, and I would encourage this project to look for people that might be able to help out with this project to help with the visuals. I think that might be find good freelancers. I think to help out with the project. So, and yeah, that's about it.
I think something that sorry, go ahead, Lori.
No, go ahead.
I think something that I appreciated about this project was how honest they were and like, hey, this is my first time doing this. Because yeah, we as the panel can definitely tell like if this is your first time. So like be upfront, be honest with what you're saying. Like that's we can definitely tell. And then still state why you think that you're the best person to kind of make this project, why this is a story that needs to be told. I think going with that approach of just honesty is the best route to take.
And the instincts are good. Like I think this is a good story to tell, and I think they're right to try to elevate it. So, yeah.
I want to double down on that. I think I responded to that to Adonis about being honest, but then the way the application was laid out, based on their experience in other areas, I actually felt by the end of it, I felt pretty confident that something like really well done would get completed, just because of the way that they executed the application and how they demonstrated, growth in other areas. And I felt like that would translate well to this project.
Yeah, I agree with all of those statements, and my thoughts were that I would love to see them work on another film project to get a little bit more experience before they plunge themselves into spending that kind of money and making their own project without the experience. And there's a lot of ways that you can connect with local filmmakers to, see where you would fit in and how you could learn from what they were doing through the Capital Film Arts Alliance, Access Sacramento, any way that you can just learn a little bit more before, and then the next grant round, your application will reflect that.
Okay. All right. We are on number 20.
20.
And that is Lori.
Okay.
Thanks everybody for hanging in there, and we're almost through it.
Okay. So this particular project, they're applying for the $10,000 production grant. This is a TV episodic that is going to be produced through Access Sacramento. The name of it is The Brew with S. Napoleon. And I felt like it was a really interesting concept in looking a little bit more at the individual who's running this. He's done other programs and has other names for himself out there. But I think that he's a really good interviewer. And I think that the interesting, the energy that he can put into this is a good fit. Hold on, I'm looking to see. I can't even read my own handwriting. This is so bad. But I felt the, potential for this to be done is there. It seemed like the expenses were a little high, especially given the Access Sacramento production capacity. And generally, I felt like it fits their mission, which is, to entertain, educate, motivate, and celebrate. And I think that that's a show that Access Sacramento could definitely benefit from having as a potential new program. Oh, and diversity. I mean, it reflects several areas of diversity that, again, I think, that's one of the things that we're rewarding points for, but I think also it's important to follow those guidelines. And they seem to have done that well. I think about the only thing that I really didn't care for is the name. And it seemed like it was a very younger name and topic or what that name depicted was something that would interest in a much younger audience. Did you guys pick up on that at all, or what did you think?
Well, I think that's a subjective comment. I think we need to keep our comments based on just strictly what we're scoring them on. And so, that's an opinion, but yeah, but no, I mean, it's not as if their score can change because of the name or something. So I appreciate that. But
no. I mean, if they're listening, I'm just, 2 cents.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would say this application is a testament to how to outline your budget as far as in-kind donations. I think they are working with like 14 different companies in that regard, of just people who donated either their time, services, what have you, and that helped bring their budget up to a place where, that they can meet their goal of the percentage of budget that makes you look good for this application. So like this, they did a knockout job in that regard. So I would like to note that for future filmmakers who are applying for these grants, to definitely take note of that, of in-kind donations. Work with as many organizations as you can to help you accomplish what you're doing, especially if like you're a new first-time filmmaker, because then that fills in the gaps of the knowledge that you might not have for certain things.
And I just think it's great that we have so many people in this community willing to give back. I know people are, making great money in their day job and, in working in this entertainment industry, but it's, they'll look at a project and say, I believe in this project so much that I want to be a part of it. So we're lucky in that way. We have a great community here in Sacramento.
I did kind of want to mention that some of the clarity on some of the partnerships might be spelled out a little bit better. Like, as a teacher of college, in-kind donation of student labor makes me a little uncomfortable, but that's just me.
Anybody?
You're breaking up.
Right.
Okay. The person noted those are internships.
I know, but as faculty, I do not like to put my students into unpaid internships. I think it can be a bad situation for students, but I didn't score any differently because of it. So.
Yeah, and nothing in the guidelines, I don't know if I broke up it previously, but nothing in the guidelines states that they have to be unpaid interns.
Yeah.
So let's just get that out there.
Yeah, I definitely did not score any.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Any other comments? Okay, 21 and Houghton.
Yeah, so this one is a TV series. The title is 916 web series. They applied for a production grant. The project is a half-hour serialized dramedy that follows the life of Daniel, a videographer in Sacramento trying to make a name for himself alongside his friend Christian, who shares a similar ambition in the music industry. I liked it because the city of Sacramento is almost meant to serve as a character itself in the show. The application was also very thorough and well designed. Lots of local cast and crew. It also seemed like these were emerging filmmakers. I think in the application, there were a couple of theses films. So that was kind of encouraging. Opportunities for improvement or growth, giving more details on how they plan, once again, to use hotels and vendors. Once again, if you haven't confirmed those, just indicate how you plan to use them. Quite a number of them were listed in the overview of the application, but weren't confirmed in the application materials. And so that was kind of hard to marry those two. But I thought it was a decent submission, and I was hoping it get made to see young filmmakers grow in their career.
Anyone else?
I agree. I think the focus, other than I want to see more about their plans for where we're going to be able to find this content. What's their distribution ideas? So the web series is one direction, but to have them examine other options too is always interesting. But I felt like this was a good crew with good skills, and they'll get it done. That means a lot. I don't know if you guys watching recognize that, part of when you're handing somebody money is that sense that, you know it's going to be spent well, and the project is going to be completed, and it's going to be something we can all see and grow and learn with. So That's one of the scoring areas. It's very important.
So I think,
go ahead. No, go ahead. This one.
yeah, no, I was just going to add, I think it's important to note that even though, it seemed like they were emerging filmmakers, that they did their documents very organized. They had something to show, as far as like, pretty much like a whole episode beforehand to show us, so then that we could see that they can organize and get stuff done. And that really, pays in dividends for these applications. Once again, not necessarily a requirement, but the believability, the viability of your project definitely helps.
Yeah, it ups the confidence a lot to be able to see it. And actually, it was good to go through the rough cut of the pilot. I'm glad they have that, and I think it would be really good for them to get some really good feedback on it. Like give that to people that you trust their feedback on, and I'm glad they were able to prove the concept so well.
I wish everybody could get everything done at the same time, and then we can have a big screening event of all. Jennifer, work on that.
Someday, you may want to put great award-winning, grant-winning together. All right, we are moving on to 22 and Diodonis.
All right, here we go, y'all. This is called Triggered. It is a feature film, and they applied for the production grants. Triggered is a feature film that explores anxiety in young adult students. It follows Michelle, a high school senior, and her friends in a coming-of-age story about self-acceptance, mental health, and in the hopes to promote awareness. This project has also partnered with the Space of Grace Youth Academy, which is a subdivision of Daughter of Zion Enterprise, to provide opportunities for internships in the editing and photography departments on this project. The Space of Grace Youth Academy is an academy that focuses on creating programs to help the youth empower themselves. So I like this project because of the representation and the roles of the characters in this film. They had, a high representation count there, and the determination of the filmmaker themselves, of going to, shoot a feature film in 5 days. That is quite a weight to bear on their shoulders. And it takes a strong applicant to do so. I also appreciated that this project decided to team up with an organization to help build out its team to provide opportunities to other filmmakers. Like, they went out of their way to specifically focus on that. And that is something I think they would have done even if they weren't applying for this grant. I also appreciated that, and not all the applicants did this, and some of them did, but budgeting for a contingency just in case something happens. Usually, having a 10% is great. I think the highest I seen on one of these was like a 20%, but to having any contingency plan in your budget, it's prime filmmaking right there. I think the areas of opportunity are, I think, giving more specific information on your applications, like how many pages your feature script is. So I know SAG specifically defines a feature film as a minimum of 80 pages, which is 80 minutes. And the Academy defines a feature film as 40 minutes or 40 pages. So if this project is looking to do, 40 minutes worth of content, that possibly could be done in 5 days. If you're looking to do like 80 or 90, I question a little bit about that. Also, for the cast and crew list, they only provided like 3 names outside of just the interns. So I'm not sure who the team fully is. But yeah, overall, I thought that this project was a great concept with a relatable story, and a great example of surrounding yourselves with the right support groups in order to help your project flourish.
All right. Anyone else have any other comments?
I agreed with that. I thought that the proposal was a little vague, and the teams, there was only a resume from one team member, so it's hard to be able to have that confidence of completion. And it referred to this being a follow-up to a short called Delude. And seeing a link to that would have been helpful just to get a better idea of what you started with and where
I think they included that in there.
They did?
Yeah, it might have been.
My apologies if they did, but that wasn't anything that I judged according to, but it was my own curiosity that I just wanted to see what they, had done before.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead, Nate.
No, go ahead.
Oh,
I'm just talking over everybody today.
We appreciate all your great comments, so you go right ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, note that, like, after looking at this filmmaker's resume, like, I think that they have a very bright future. This is the kind of person who I would consider to be like an up and coming, like, this is someone who you can't tell no to doing something that they set their mind to. So I'm very excited if they continue down this path to kind of see where they end up in their career.
You mean Diodonis?
I thought we weren't supposed to do personal comments.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Never mind.
Hey, any other comments?
no, I would just second the fact that a 5-day production of a feature is ambitious.
I mean, like I said, like if it's a 40-minute,
Yeah.
something, you're doing, what is that? 5, 10, 15, 20. Oh no, God. Oh my God. Yeah, like 10 pages roughly a day. It can be done, but yeah, it's just how you classify your feature film length, and that would have been nice to include in the treatment.
It could be done. The question is, should it be done?
Yeah, it can be done. I mean, what is the original Little Shop of Horrors was shot in 2 days?
Oh my God.
Really?
Yeah, not the Frank Oz version, the Roger Corman version. So.
Oh, okay.
So the benefit of this is that this is the kind of person that I would vote on completing an ambitious project like this. They have the head on their shoulders to take something like that on.
All right, we are on our final application, and let's hear from Nathan.
Oh gosh, and I'm not paying attention. Okay, let me jump into this. So this actually is a little bit of a different project. So let me pull it up really fast, make sure I'm looking at the right thing. So this is a project that is part. It's part of B Street Theater. So it's titled "Bringing B Street Theater into the Spotlight." What this is going to be is a series of so B Street Theater is a nonprofit organization behind the Sophia Midtown. It's cornerstone of Sacramento's cultural scene. They do big production plays, also youth theater, all kinds of great things for the community. What they're trying to build with this grant is to do monthly content packages that aims to produce trailers, digital marketing content of things that are happening at the theater to help push both promote the organization, but also promote the artists that are involved in the organization, from the directors to the actors and everything that from there on down. So this is a little bit different than a lot of the other projects that we have here. It is more for pieces to help promote another piece. But realistically, it's a good organization. The team that they have involved with it is a really strong team, and B Street always brings good quality. And so I have high confidence in completion rate of this project, and what the net outcome will be most likely is promoting arts in Sacramento and promoting diverse voices in Sacramento. And so I think this is a really strong project in that case. So.
Anyone else?
No, that B Street is going to bring something great. They're not going to fall short on this. I appreciated the fact that they had a woman-owned new video production company, even within B Street, that they're, using this to springboard. So they've just continued to flourish, in everything that they take on. So
And again, this application does suffer from some of the other things where it doesn't, it clicks the lower boxes in that 25% range that we talked about earlier in the day. But realistically, it's just being, this is the project they're trying to do, and so it probably has a few points missing from that, but it's I think it has a lot of strength in its feasibility and its completion. And diversity. Lori mentioned the female-owned business, and I would agree, yes.
yeah.
Okay, everybody. Well, thank you to the panel for being here and for your wonderful service that you provided over the last couple of weeks. I know it was hard to get through all 20 of those, so I just really do want you to know how much I and the applicants appreciate your commitment to the film office. So to any of the other applicants who are still on the meeting, I will be telling the winners, the awardees, this afternoon and this evening. The awardees will hopefully be told before close of business today. I have an hour and 40 minutes to do that. And if not, then first thing in the morning. And then again, to anybody that is watching, if you have questions on how maybe to, improve your application next time, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always here and happy to help. And again, thank you to everybody for being here.
And congratulations to everybody who swung the bat. I mean, we have an incredible community.
Yes, we do. I concur. All right, and sorry my internet was weak. I hope everybody was able to hear everything, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.